Hey, it's Shane, and for today's video, actually, first ever vlog. Vlog ba to? Well, I don't know. Basta video to. First ever video to be uploaded in my channel, Vlogger Kagad. And for today, we're going to talk about the internet threats and tips on how to stay safe online. Whoa! So, internet. Whether you are one of the few persons, whether you're one of the few percentage of people around the world who do not own a high-end or high-tech cell phones or other gadgets, we still have different benefit on the internet in many in any other aspects of our lives. For example, like on the news, like before we get them on newspapers or mails. But now, because of the internet, it can be seen on Facebook. So, for example, you don't own any high-end gadget, you only have the keypad one. But for example, you have a family member or your neighbor, mga chismosa mong mga kapitbahay, those news that they relate to you or yung mga pinagchichikahan nila na news, maybe they are from Facebook or from any other websites, because there are many websites on the internet that are the source of the news worldwide or just locally. And of course, sa mga gumagamit ng gadgets like cell phones, laptops, of course, they get these news on the internet. And not only news, but also entertainment, like for business purposes, for work, for studies, we use the internet. So by that, we can say that internet is really useful. And in terms of communication, well, of course, because of the internet, communication became faster and very, very convenient for us. But on the other hand, on the other side of the internet, it also has a disadvantage. Of course, all things have two sides. We can't just look on the good side, but also the bad side. So, to the bad side of the internet, well, there are many bad things that we can get, or we can attain, or we can do through the internet that even us ourselves who use it doesn't even know or aren't aware about, like those fake news or like nudities, or the things from the internet that can cause our gadget na magiging dahilan para masira ang mga gadgets natin that we can find on the internet, or what we did on the internet caused our gadgets to break para masira kasi and so we have the so-called internet threats. We have the so-called internet threats, and so we have to acknowledge them so that we can be aware na yung mga ginagawa pala natin is not right, or we should not dare to do these things. You should be aware of these things para malaman malalaman natin kung anong dapat at hindi dapat gawin on the internet. And of course, we have the tips on how to stay safe online para to avoid the threats. To avoid the threats na may encounter natin when we use internet. So first, malware from the word malicious software. So these softwares are malicious and is bad for the computer. Malware is the most common way to infiltrate and damage your computer. So malware is a very familiar word to us, yes? And malware has different kinds. So first, we have the computer virus. Familiar? Yeah. Computer viruses attach themselves covertly to downloads as they are designed to spread at an alarming rate. So these computer viruses are really quickie. These computer viruses are attached to files for download, shared via CDs, DVDs, and flash drives or USB sticks. Next, computer worms. So if we have viruses, we also have worms. Isn't it the same thing though? So to know if it's different or not, so computer worms make their way onto a computer via a malicious email attachment or a USB stick or a flash drive. Once your computer has been infected, it will likely send itself to every email address logged in your system. Next, Trojan leaves your computer completely unprotected, which can mean that hackers can steal any data from your system. It disguises itself as a useful program. So these Trojan thingies certainly are like your plastic friends. Next, spyware. An all-encompassing internet nasty and is usually attached to pop-ups of downloadable files. The last kind of malware is the adware. The adware displays unwanted advertisements. You're being redirected, or your searches have been redirected to ad websites and collect marketing type data about you. Okay, the second type of internet threats. So the second type is spam. So isn't this a little bit familiar to you all? There's a more common way of both sending information and also collecting it. Internet is really complicated. The last one is phishing. So phishing, it is a form of fraudulent activity. So y'all know what fraud is? Y'all should know. Y'all should have a dictionary. More often or not, official-looking emails are sent impersonating a well-known provider, as a bank, for example. These internet threats are just so freaking annoying, and we won't know when we're going to encounter them. So, here are the tips for us to avoid these internet threats. This is me as a user, and a message for you all and a tip for you all to what to do to stay safe on the internet and to avoid encountering those threats that I've said earlier. So first and foremost is to not share your password to anyone else. Social networking sites, especially when you know that there are like confidential files there that you don't want anyone to see, like you better not share your password. Or if you really should share your password with anyone, well, you could like share them with those people that you trust and make sure that those people are reliable. for whatever may happen to your account. Next, for me, we have a pocket Wi-Fi in your house. If you have Wi-Fi's on your home, whether it's a router or a pocket Wi-Fi, make sure to hide it, not make it in. Do not, basta wag niyong gawing public yung Wi-Fi. Make sure it has a password that is like complicated enough that hackers will have a hard time hacking your Wi-Fi, or when people are trying to guess what your password is, it would be hard for them. Third is do not or avoid logging into public networks. Like for example, in like computer shops, when you go there to research, you shouldn't risk it. Well, if it can't be helped, that emergency talaga, bahala na kayo. Next, not talk to a stranger online. Well, whether he or she is maganda o talagang gwapo talaga sa mga picture niya sa social networking sites, that shouldn't really convince you. Kasi there's a big possibility na yung mga pictures na yun are hindi sa kanila o nilakaw lang nila sa post ng mismong tao na yun nung nasa picture. Nakita yung profile mo, tinok ka din, ayun, ang ganda mo daw. Kaya ayun, chat kayo, watcha. Tapos ayun, gusto niyo ng meet up, ganun. Mag-meet up kayo, anything can happen. Like, I'm not saying this na generally talaga na ganun yung mga tao online na hindi mo pa nakikilala. You didn't know them from a friend or from a relative. If anything bad would happen to you, like, you can't go back to the time that you accepted the person. So there are no regrets in the beginning. There are only regrets at the end of your actions. So you better think wisely. So last tip that I can give to you, no, not exactly the last one. So when you go outside, sige, say hi to Mama! Whenever you go outside of the country or outside of town or like somewhere else outside your house, you shouldn't like post anything like going to Tagbilaran. That's just like informing other people to rob my house at this moment, rob my house later because I'm not at my house. Because people nowadays are so envious. So if they know that you're not in your house and no one's in your house, well, they can and then sa inyong balay. And lastly, be careful on what you do with the internet. Well, basically this is just a summary of what I have talked about earlier. This is just a pure summary of that. Be careful of what you do, of what you post, because we don't know if people would just purely appreciate it or take advantage of your actions. When you post something, you should be sensitive of what other people would think about you post. You can do whatever you want to be happy, but make sure that your future wouldn't be destroyed, wouldn't be put at risk, or even your safety. Just be wise. Be wise on using the internet, because the internet is made or invented to make our lives easier, and we should use it in the most justifying way. while we still can change, we should. And when we know what we're doing is not good or can affect other people, even in just in little ways, when you know it will hurt other people, or when you know that it can hurt you, when you know it's bad for you, it's bad for other people, then you should be responsible and not do it. And now, you already know the internet threats. Those internet threats are just common. So if you think the information I told you isn't enough, so sinay naman ako, hindi mag-isap. If you think that the information isn't enough, you can search through the internet, and I will also put some reference but what I said just now on the link below. I expect you all to apply this and be safe on the internet. So that's it for today, guys. It's a wrap, and thank you so much for watching. I don't know if there are more videos to come in this channel. I hope you learned something from the video, even if some things are familiar to you, but I hope I encourage you and convince you to be more careful. And I hope you're more aware of your actions now. And this is coming from an internet user, and a user of internet in her daily life. So cut, ciao!